Good morning and welcome into the Morning Burrito Podcast. I am Michael.
I am Eric.
And we are happy to be with you on this Tuesday. Sorry we were not with you last week.
Oh, I'm not sorry.
Well, you're not sorry.
I'm not sorry. I was in South Dakota.
Did you see Governor Nome?
No, didn't. But, man, it was a wild ride.
You did get to, fly in a helicopter. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But we'll get into all that here in just a moment.
Oh, man, make me wait.
But just want to let you know we are sponsored by Hermiston Nazarene Church, this podcast, and we are available on all the places you can find podcasts: Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, iTunes. The list goes on. There's a lot of them. I don't know.
You could probably make something up.
Probably could. But we are here every Tuesday with you from 10 till, 10:45, 10:30. It depends on the week. But today, just as a little tease. Ooh. Do you know what Sunday is?
I do.
What's coming up this Sunday?
Are we going to tell them now or make them wait?
Well, we're going to discuss what's coming up this Sunday.
All right.
So we'll be right back. All right, so we are back and better than ever, of course. And,
better.
So yeah, we are going to spend some time talking about what's coming up this Sunday. But before we get there, just tell us what was your trip like?
Oh,
What'd you do? Why'd you go? So on and so forth.
So our oldest son has moved to South Dakota, got engaged, so we went to check out his new home and get to see him in his luxurious single wide mobile home.
A lot of life change for that boy in a very short period of time.
Lots of it. He even cooked us dinner one night. He did a good job.
What did he make you?
Buffalo burgers.
Bison burgers.
Yeah. Well, no, it was buffalo. There is a difference.
No, buffalo and bison are the same thing.
They're different, man.
In fact, buffalo is the wrong word to be using. It's
the
actually
package
bison.
said buffalo.
But that's not a
I'm just saying.
Bison
it was
is the
good.
correct word.
It was good. We even went to see Crazy Horse, the monument. I saw it when I was 11, 12 years old. It hasn't changed.
Never got finished.
Hasn't changed. And then
Borglum, right?
Huh?
Borglum? Wasn't the name of the guy that did it?
Oh,
that in Mount Rushmore?
You're close, but that wasn't right.
I think it's Borglum.
No, there's a GUS in there somewhere.
Get in the chat in the comments and tell us who it is.
You're gonna prove him wrong.
But I'm guessing it's Borglum.
Yeah, and then Mount Rushmore, that was pretty cool. To go.
Have you seen that before?
Yeah, I've seen it before. Way different this time because I'm older, so I understood it a little better.
How did Garrick? It was his first time, right?
It was his first time. The kids saw it from a helicopter. We took a helicopter ride, and that was cool. That was really cool.
Little tiny helicopter too.
It was. I could reach the top of it. So it was a tiny helicopter.
That must have been really short.
It was short. Short.
See, you just laying them up there.
I'm telling you, it was short, squatty, and I wasn't sure it was more than a soup can, but it got us up and got us back. So
it looked like fun.
Did
they let you fly it?
No, didn't. Nor did I want to. So
it ended up like Kobe Bryant.
Yeah. Hey, but we got really close to a Lamborghini that was parked there at the helicopter site. It was cool. So anyway, it was good. Good long trip. 2,255 miles round trip. So
it's a long way.
It was good.
14, 15 hours probably.
Yeah. Well, we did it in 2 days, just because we weren't in that big a hurry.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, 15 hours or so.
Did you come with nothing with you?
Did I come with nothing with me?
Like you left with a ton of junk.
I left all the junk in South Dakota.
Okay, good. So you came empty-handed, which is good.
I came back empty, got better fuel mileage on the way home. It was great.
So.
Yeah, it was great.
How'd that trailer brake work out for you?
It worked out great. Yeah, it was a good investment. If you ever pull in a trailer without trailer brakes, get some trailer brakes.
How was the snow? Did you see snow?
We didn't drive through snow. We missed it on both ends. We were 4 days late leaving because of snow and a day late coming back because of snow, but roads were clear. But the drifts were like 6 feet we drove through. So, yeah, it was pretty. Wow. Lots of snow. They had maybe 14 inches there in Custer right before we got there, and it was all gone by the time we got there. So it melted really fast.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Custer is a pretty place. It's definitely a tourist town. Did you feel that when you were there?
We dumped some cash.
It is definitely a tourist trap of a town.
It is.
And
especially with a 13-year-old who likes rocks. Every rock store. Dad, can we go? Rocks and fossils. I could do a whole podcast just on that.
You could. I don't know that I could.
I could. I learned a lot about it.
I never bought rocks when I was a kid.
I
never understood
Well, I
it.
still haven't bought rocks, but talk to my 13-year-old. He did.
So today we are going to spend some time talking about All Hallows Eve. And
It's awesome.
So just to before we get into the deep stuff that we're going to talk about today, because we are going to get a little deep today, because I think there is some debate amongst Christians. Let's be honest, there's a lot of debate among Christians of whether Christians should or should not celebrate Halloween or, engage in Halloween activities and so on and so forth. And then there's also, we've received the questions, why do we do what we do here at Hermnaz? Why do we do Fall Fest? So we're gonna go through some of those issues. But just some background. I think in America we can really lose the forest through the trees on Halloween.
Lose the forest through the trees. Okay, that's deep.
Yeah. So I think it's important for us to understand where Halloween came from just a little bit. I'm not a historian by any amount of anything. Like I just know a little bit. Okay. So just to give you a little background, Halloween as we know it today is not what Halloween began as. When Halloween began, it began in I think Spain, if I'm correct here. And it began as Dia de los Muertos, which means Day of the Dead. And the best thing you can compare it to in our American context would be Memorial Day. The idea being that you honor the dead every year. You remember the dead. Now, you may not agree with some of the ways that Spanish culture, Latin culture has done that, but that's where it originated. It was an honoring those who had gone before, celebrating their life, reminiscing, remembering what they did while they were alive. That, of course, came through the southern area of our country. So, like the Pilgrims did not celebrate Halloween in any way, shape, or form. It came through our Latin brothers and sisters. That's how Halloween got to the United States. And again, what we see today is not what Halloween was when it began. All Saints Day is another phrase that has been used for Halloween. Now, to have some fun here, to get us started, what is your favorite scary movie?
Oh, okay. So my favorite scary movie. Now I grew up. You have to understand. Okay, so what we're gonna say today is this is just you're gonna learn a little bit about how we were brought up, maybe in this.
Yeah,
I was brought up with being taught that scary movies were not real. Okay, so like Freddy Krueger, not real. Okay, not at all. Friday the 13th stuff, not real. Halloween movies, like
Isn't everybody
Halloween,
brought up that way?
I don't think so. I mean, look at our culture today.
Do people really think that's real?
Where have you been?
I've never known anybody who thought those movies were real.
Really?
Like they're not documentaries.
That is true. That's probably a really good thing, right? So okay, so I was taught that all of
Oh,
that
man.
kind of thing is just it's entertainment, purpose,
Sure,
right?
sure.
So all right, so maybe people don't believe it, but I don't think we're taught that anymore. We just it's part of entertainment. We just watch it, right?
You just consume it
Yeah.
now.
So, so my favorite was probably one of my very first horror thriller type, not even horror, just one of my thriller action things was Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? Scooby-Doo, where are you?
And it was always amazing that there was always a human being underneath the sheet and behind the mask.
Always.
It was great.
Yeah, it looked like a ghost, looked like a goblin, whatever.
Yep.
It was always a human being.
Yep.
And
And
he's usually an old guy
It usually was an old guy
who
That is
owned
true.
the
That is
carnival or whatever.
That's right. The old creeper guy at the carnival. So Scooby-Doo probably was my entry. And then Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Love Casper.
Awesome.
The movie, though.
Awesome there. Yeah. Okay.
Not the cartoon.
Well, I like the cartoon.
It's because you're old.
But then I got into probably my first real movie that I probably remember that I go back to is the original Halloween movies.
Ooh. Jamie Lee Curtis, huh?
Yeah. I mean,
Michael Myers.
That was like...
Not to be confused with Mike Myers, the actor.
Yeah, no, big difference there, actually.
I always got confused by that.
no.
So when I was a kid,
They're even different sized men.
they are, and Mike Myers is funny. Michael Myers not so funny.
Not so funny. So anyway, that's where I go. Where do you go?
So Ghostbusters would be
Oh, yeah.
would be my number one.
The movie.
The movie.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and the kids cartoon. I watched that as a kid. I remember having the trap when I was a kid, and the proton pack as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
And I had like a pool noodle that was the beam.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Did
had
you put a light in it? Did it light
no,
up?
no.
Okay.
This is back in the old days. This is like
Oh.
the 80s, early 90s. So we didn't have that kind of technology back then. But I remember my trap had this like little foot pedal, so you could hit it and it would open up, and you would throw the ghosts down into the
Oh.
trap.
Yeah, you're legit.
Yeah, it was great. My parents, that was one thing. That and the Ninja Turtles. When it came to Halloween, I usually dressed as a Ghostbuster or a Ninja Turtle. I was not really into superheroes very much. I mean, a little bit, but no more than any other kid for sure. But I really like the Ghostbusters. So Ghostbusters 1, Ghostbusters 2, those are staples in my house even to this day. I love those movies. They're just awesome. But I was never, my sister would watch like Freddy Krueger and stuff, and I just never got into that stuff. It just always rubbed me the wrong way. I guess I was a scaredy cat as a kid. Like that stuff just, I
As
don't
a
know.
kid?
Well, I mean, still to this day, I don't watch any of that kind of stuff. But in fact, I see the movies on like Hulu or whatever, because now it's that time of year and those movies are on. And Claudia's like, "Hey, we should watch it." Yeah, nope, not gonna watch it. Just can't do it. And to be honest, one of the movie series that has really been hard for me is The Exorcist. Like those movies, any series of movies on exorcism or demon possession. Mm-hmm. Man, those have always been. I've watched them twice, some variant of them, and man, they give me nightmares.
Well, there's some legit there.
Yeah, which we'll get into. But I mean, that's so. Yeah, I would say it's always been, always will be, the Ghostbusters. I mean, yeah, I love the Ghostbusters. That's even though they're not really Halloween movies per se,
right?
And they're not scary movies. They're comedies mostly.
So my up to date movie though, it's like I'm not a sci-fi guy. I don't do sci-fi anymore. I don't know what happened. It just kind of like a switch turned off. But the Quiet Place.
Oh, yeah, we actually used that in a previous event with the students. We used The Quiet Place and made it into a game. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, seriously. I mean, there's there's very few words in there, right?
Yeah, there's no dialogue.
There's no cussing. There's definitely no sex, but yet there's a baby that was born, so something had to happen there. And it's just in the dark.
It's really a thriller more than anything else.
Dark room with a loud bow system.
It's great. It's just a eerie movie.
It is
very eerie.
But I'm not saying go watch it. I'm just saying I liked it.
So if we talk about more recent movies, again, this is not necessarily Halloween specific, but I remember back when I was in college, I was really anti Harry Potter. I didn't want Harry Potter.
Yeah.
I didn't like Harry Potter. Didn't want Harry Potter. But I hadn't read Harry Potter and I hadn't seen Harry Potter. I just had this assumption that it was bad. Now as a dad, I know how to talk to my kids about it. I know how to handle it myself, and I enjoy the Harry Potter movies. I just enjoy the kidness of them. They're fantastic. So again, not encouraging you to watch them. That's my choice. I don't feel the Holy Spirit convicting me on it. So but I love the Harry Potter movies.
See, and that's where we're different because I think it's a gateway. So there you have two sides of us. That's what makes us a good team.
It's a gateway drug.
It's a gateway drug
to sorcery and witchcraft.
Only mainly because people don't know how to talk against it, and
That's true.
says don't play with it. So if you can't talk against it, don't play with it.
Yeah, my daughter actually a couple years ago, she goes, I want a wand. I said, nope. She's like, yeah, but we watched Harry Potter. I'm like, yep, but nope, you're not doing that. But why? Because we don't believe in witchcraft in this house. That's as you were talking about with the scary movies. That's what I've been able to teach my daughter.
Yep.
That is not real. That is something we are told in the Bible not to engage in, and so this is for entertainment only. So
what's another thing you like about Halloween though?
I mean, as a kid,
Now as a dad.
well, I mean, it's the same thing actually.
Okay, all right.
So candy, now being a dad, you got the dad tax. So now I don't have to do any of the work. I just get some of the
Candy.
benefits.
That's right.
Or I just buy an extra bag of candy at the house, and that's my bag of candy.
Or you buy the allotted candy amount for the house, and then you hide a bag.
I do that at Christmas too
So-
with the Andes mints.
We're letting our secrets out.
my daughter and my wife know when we go to the candy aisle for Christmas, as we're getting stuff that's going to be in the stockings and whatever. There's always an Andes mint bag that's just going to be for Dad, and it goes into my stocking.
I get an orange.
An orange,
An orange. That's what I get.
like a literal orange.
An orange.
Why?
And it's not even a full orange. It's one of those little squatty,
Like the cuties?
yeah, little cutie thing.
Why?
That's what's always in the foot of my stocking.
Apparently, your wife loves you.
I think it was something that started with my wife when she was a kid. It hurt her.
So she does it to you. So is that like your Cole?
I think so. Honey, I love you. I love the orange.
No, you don't.
Well, I eat it.
But you want candy.
Well, it'd be good. Something chocolate. Be a good switch it up there. Anyway, but
So what's your favorite part of Halloween?
So I think one of my favorite parts is, well, I know our kids are at a different age now, so I think I don't know if I have a favorite part anymore. Actually, it used to be going and getting the candy and watching the laughter and the joy, and watching the competition between the kids who gets the most candy.
Go
right?
for get the scale out. and
Yeah,
see-
pretty much. And it's kind of like the Easter egg hunt too, right? It's like, how many eggs did you get?
I got 37. I only got 35.
So yeah, I'd say candy is probably still like it. It's like you're always like, oh, I'm on the hunt. I'm ready to go. So,
yeah, I've always enjoyed, especially as being an adult now, I've always enjoyed just watching the joy in kids' faces. It's similar to the joy that they have at Christmas time. Kids really enjoy the trick-or-treating experience, going around and getting candy. I mean, even if it's stuff they'll never touch, like the butterscotch things, man, those things are nasty. And the orange and black wax paper things.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Don't ever give that candy out. That's garbage. That just goes right into your garbage can. And same thing with candy corn, by the way.
Oh, I like candy.
So
corn.
let's go to our things we hate the most about Halloween. Candy corn is nasty crap.
I like
that
the
shouldn't-
horror. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
and the pumpkins, like the candy corn pumpkin things.
Oh.
Yeah, the candy corns and pumpkins can be thrown in the trash and not given ever at Halloween to kids. Like if you want to eat them, buy them yourself. That's fine. Brock's will love you, the candy corn maker. But don't ever give those to kids. It's garbage.
Yeah, I'd say mine is the horror and gore. I don't like the horror and gore.
Well, I don't like that either. But again, candy's my favorite thing, so I want to
like
get the
candy-
right kind of candy.
I like candy corn, so
You like coffee too, so I mean
that's true.
Kind of explains.
I
that.
don't like licorice though, or
licorice is good.
gummy worms or bears or anything squishy. Ugh. Worthless.
We're really finding out some
Worthless.
new things
Yeah,
about each
worthless.
other.
So-
No, I think so. So with my kids and the way my parents raised me, we were never allowed to do the horror type of stuff. You never really saw us dressing up as demons or slashers or anything like that. I think the closest I ever got to that as an outfit for myself was when I was a little kid. My mom worked at a hospital for most of my life, a little insight into my life. But my mom, one year we dressed, I think I was probably in middle school, so maybe 6th, 7th, 8th grade, somewhere in there. I dressed in scrubs and I had, like blood on my face or something, like I was a dead nurse or something. I don't know. Don't even really know the point of it, but that's the closest that I ever got to ever dressing gore when I was a kid. And as I've gotten older, I don't see it as much as I did when I was a kid. I don't feel like. I think there's more superheroes these days than because let's be honest. Costumes have gotten a lot better since
They
we were
really-
kids.
Those plastic masks with a little elastic thing that goes around.
Yeah, and
Oh.
somebody walk up behind you and
Yeah.
and them little things, they were like the rubber band was like that thin, and so as soon as they smacked it,
It's kind of like the face mask we wear now. Bing. Off
it's
the
worse
ear.
than that.
Oh, man.
Those
It
things
was.
were
Those things
awful.
hurt.
And those masks, you drop them and they would just crack, and then
Right.
you would no longer have a mask.
And the sweat on the inside would just run down the front of the plastic from your breath.
Well,
Oh.
when you're like me and you have glasses, wearing one of those masks was completely useless because I was 5 years old when I got glasses, and back in those days, the early '90s, I had the big old thick plastic rim glasses.
Yeah.
And then when I would break those, my parents would get me the rec specs. So like the sports goggles that they would go like all the way around, and then had the big old.
You were
elastic-
styling.
Yeah. So those masks never really worked with my outfit ever. ever. Yeah, but I mean, you see a lot of the. I mean, obviously, these last couple of years, we've seen a lot of Harry Potter. We've seen a lot of the Marvel characters. You see Batman all the time, right? But I also see, further than the horror or the gore type stuff, when you see little girls dressing like Harley Quinn, that kind of stuff just always just irritates me, because and maybe you do dress your kid like that. This is not us being judgmental. It's just, should a girl be dressing like Harley Quinn? Should we be allowing our little girls to dress like a evil woman? Like, I don't think so. Same thing with a witch. Like, I'll never let my kids dress like a witch, because number one, we don't believe in sorcery, but number two, well, witches are evil. Like, why would we encourage that as a Christian?
Right. So as we get into this, these next few minutes, I mean, I think one thing that comes out of it is it's a pagan holiday.
It is.
And the pagan holiday worships the devil. So why would a Christian want to participate in such a holiday? Go.
I think when you paint it from that perspective, the answer wouldn't obviously be we shouldn't. And you and I know don't, but we wouldn't encourage our church people to do that. I will put in a caveat, though, again, going back to the history that we started with. If you're using Halloween to be a Day of the Dead, because, I know we do have, particularly in our community, we do have a lot of Latin-descended people who are probably, in large part, Catholic or from a Catholic background. And the Catholic Church celebrates Dia de los Muertos oftentimes. So, if you're using Halloween to celebrate past people's lives, I suppose that's okay as a Christian. I don't know that that's necessarily a negative, but when we talk about the current connotation of Halloween, the demons and the horror and gore, as you like to say, that's that. I would think you're walking on pretty tight. You're walking a real tight line as a Christian. It's kind of, I always like to use the illustration of the deep water for a fish. Fish are much safer in deep water than they are in the shallows. And in the same way, you need to have boundaries in your relationship with God. And this might be one place where you need to put a boundary line in, because it's real easy to end up on the shore, so to speak, as a fish. If you're hanging out in the shallows, wave coming, sweeps you up. Once you're on the sand, as a fish, you're dead. In the same way for us, that's a short place to walk to from, having your kid dressed like a witch to sorcery has now been introduced into your home. So I would be very careful.
Yeah. And there's people that we respect and admire because they don't participate at all in Halloween. And this is not one of those moments where we sit back and go, oh, well, you know what? You're closed-minded. And so it's not that.
Oh.
It's a respect factor that's there. So even though, when you look at Halloween from my perspective, if the light never goes into the darkness is never changed. And so when I look at Scripture, I'm reminded that the evil cannot impact me in such a way that it's going to overrun my life unless I invite it in to do so. It can influence you.
Can I ask a basic question?
Maybe.
That maybe somebody watching this podcast or thinking, or listening to this podcast might be thinking. Was there an instance where Jesus interacted with evil?
Yeah. He died on the cross, went to hell.
What about the demonic or the evil in flesh, so to speak?
Yeah, he died on the cross and went to hell. That you can't get around that. He did. That's where he went. Scripture is very clear on that. But if you're talking Jesus as he's walking planet Earth,
yes,
he goes across, the water. He goes over to the other side, the enemy's territory. And what's the first person he runs into? He runs into a naked man that's demon possessed in the cemetery. Right? He's in the caves of the dead.
This is the pig story.
Right. This is the pig story.
That's how I always call it.
Jesus didn't run from that. Right.
Right.
He actually went up and touched the man, had a conversation with him, cast out the evil.
He actually talked to the demons.
He didn't run from that, right? So what if he would have run from from that moment right there, or just avoided the moment, right, the darkness would have never come to light. So,
Well, and we also know that Jesus, when he was tempted in the desert, he was tempted specifically by
right.
the evil one, by
Right.
Satan.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing to be tempted, just generally speaking. I don't know if we give enough credit to the fact that Jesus was literally tempted by the evilest being that has ever existed.
Right.
It's pretty crazy to think.
Yeah.
He didn't run from it.
This front, it's a front face-to-face conversation with that. So, so just in a nutshell, I mean, this is a really big topic, right?
Sure.
But as a nutshell, when it comes to Halloween, you're going to make it what you want it to be.
Right.
And I guess I've chosen to make it a place where light can impact darkness. And what that means is we don't celebrate the demonic, right? We're not giving the devil any more popularity. We're not giving him any more, success than what, I guess culture gives him. We want to be about Jesus Christ and the power of Jesus Christ. And so what we do is, even as a family, is we are very, very cautious on what do we do when it comes to Halloween. We celebrate things of the festive, right? Of good and light and what comes out of that. You can't have a festive heart in Christ and then go and celebrate everything that's dark. So there isn't anything, I don't think, in Halloween, on the dark side of Halloween, that we celebrate.
Yeah, in fact, I was just trying to think how in light of that, because we're doing one of the cool things we get to do this year for Halloween at our Fall Fest is the glow in the dark. Glow in the dark carnival game. So I was trying to think of it through the rubric you were just laying out.
Yeah,
I'm like, well, we're going in the dark. And so I'm trying to think, how does this make sense as to what you're saying? But the truth is, when you go into glow in the dark, what really shines?
this could be the glow in the dark light.
You're going to see the light, right? You're going to see light pop out of that.
And not only are you going to see light pop out of it, but it's going to glow on you.
Correct, which is going to be great.
Yeah. So, that's where I come from. Halloween, and I know there's, especially as a pastor, we get your church is pagan because you're celebrating Halloween. No, we are taking the church as light into a darkness. I mean, what other chance does a church have to have a community of pagans come on your campus?
Well, and that's not to say everybody who comes to our campus is pagan either.
Right. Okay, that's not what I meant to say.
Or godless, for that matter, because we do have a lot of church people that come to our campus too.
All right, just forget everything I just said, all right?
I'm just making sure we're clear.
Yeah. Okay, so, but in the holiday, right?
Right.
For Halloween, the community's coming for a reason, and the reason is
It's a safe place.
It's a safe place, and it's candy. Now, that's not to water down the dangers of the darkness that we have already pointed out with the sorcery and the witchcraft and and all that, and
the
so
evil and
the
all
evil
of
and the horror, the gore, the crossbones, and I mean all of that. But we want to be able to be light in the darkness because we want to change the darkness. So by coming on our campus, if we can make it an opportunity for us to just be a safe place and to be able to let Jesus be seen through us and how we handle such a dark situation, that's a win. There's fruit that comes out of that. I know we give the word in some of the bags. We have some intentionality behind what we place in some of the bags that the kids come by, and we drop in. Like this year, there's going to be a little Bible story booklet kind of thing that goes in. So there is some intentional things that happen there. But overall, man, we would miss it if we were not in the middle of darkness.
It's you use the term touch point a lot.
Touch point.
And this is for our church, and I know that churches across the country, this is not just us, but this is one, for us, it's our biggest touch point throughout the year that we have with our community. For many years, we were, 300, 400, 500, give or take, a year. But last year, in the midst of a pandemic,
right,
we did the least that we've probably ever done for Fall Fest as far as set up and, just stuff that we would normally do. And yet we had over 1,000 people last year.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many families that, family units that counts as, but it was amazing to see the amount of people in 2 hours that crossed paths with our people. And here's the thing. this isn't about, us as pastors. While the idea may be generated from us, or some ideas may be generated from us, this is really an opportunity for our Christian people, our church people, to interface with people they may never see in another way.
Mm-hmm.
And, we don't know the stories of the people and the families that are coming on this campus during a Fall Fest. This may be the only experience they ever get to have with a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Or with the church.
And we have conversations like that. I think last year I found out that there's a family that comes every year to just our Fall Fest. They don't do anything else in the town. They don't celebrate Halloween. They don't go door to door. They come here. They come here for a couple reasons. And the guy was really interesting to talk to. He said, we've come every year that you've been doing this because we've learned it's a safe environment. Mm-hmm. There is not the feeling of darkness. I mean, this, you probably can tell the culture he's coming from. And then there's always free food, so he can feed his family. And so those three things right there is what I got out of that dad as he waited for his kids to go around on the hayride, and that was just really cool. And then we had people come, probably 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago now. They spent forever. Now these boys are there were some big boys. I mean, tall, and I mean just husky guys. And they were the year we had inflatable games, and man, they went all out. And when they first came on campus, we kind of had our security team kind of red flag, kind of like, okay, that's, because they're kind of not in the age group we're targeting, right?
Sure.
And man, they turned out to be some of the greatest fun guys that actually let us be able to share Jesus with them that night. And then we see them through town, and they haven't been to service yet, but it wasn't about that. It's that touch point of like, okay, I have a relationship with you now. And they actually gave us, they actually helped us on a mission trip. They saw something on Facebook that we were doing, and they made a donation of whatever else we were gathering at that time. And of course, they wouldn't come drop it off. I had to go pick it up. But you know what? There's no touch point. So,
yeah. Well, and then we just I know she's a listener or a watcher of our podcast, but we have Kelly who shared her testimony last night at our encounter service here. And we found out just recently that Kelly and her daughter Cheyenne have been coming to the Fall Fest every year that we've been doing it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you didn't know this?
I didn't know this.
Oh, so this has been cool to talk about last night. Anyway, but yeah, so she and Cheyenne, she had been bringing Cheyenne every year. And, obviously not somebody who at the time wanted to trust organized religion. So you never know. I mean, I guess the point is you never know when those touch points happen, what's actually going to make the difference. I mean, when we listened to Kelly's testimony last night, Sunday night, we heard that it's sometimes the most random thing that ends up being the touch point that makes the decision, that helps somebody make their decision for Jesus. So Fall Fest might not be for everybody. It might not be a place that everybody needs to volunteer at, but what it is an opportunity for us to touch our community, to bring light into darkness. And it's an old illustration, but it's true. I mean, if you have a dark room, like a completely dark room, and you light a candle, the candle is seen.
Correct.
It lights the entire room because light penetrates darkness.
And let me just say that if you're a person that, is cautious and it just kind of, let's just say just boycotts Halloween, that's okay. That really is okay. But I would throw out that anytime any of us as Christians take a step back from the darkness, we better have a really good reason why. Because there's nowhere in Scripture do we see Jesus back away from the evil or the demonic or the darkness. Jesus always goes into it. So I think as Christians, we need to have a really good reason why we're backing away from darkness when we're called to penetrate darkness with the light of Christ that's in us.
Well, we're called,
right?
Jesus calls us in Matthew to be light.
To be the light.
To be the light.
He doesn't say dim it. Right.
He doesn't put it under the bushel basket.
Right,
Don't hide it.
Right. We're not on a dimmer switch like
right.
our studio lights. We're called. So that's not to be, saying, hey, everybody's got to celebrate, Halloween. But I would call you to, you better have some really good reason why you're not willing to be light in one of the darkest times, because you can make a difference by letting your light shine. And then the one thing that always comes, I think, as a pastor, this time of year when it comes Halloween, is, well, pastor, we know that, Jesus went and did the pig thing and cast out the demons, and he did that, and he went to hell and he fought the battle for us. Well, we know all of that, but do you understand that sin is demonic? Unless you repent from that sin, you're part of the demonic. So chew on that a little bit. That's probably the deepest thing that I want to say today is before anybody says, hey, church, you are so wrong in doing Fall Fest the way you do, let me just ask you, is there sin in your life? Because if there is, there's demonic, and you're part of that world. So would you rather have us not share light with you, or are you wanting somebody to reach out and help
at the
you?
very least, if you don't like the word demonic, you can say there's something going on in your life that is contrary to God and to the Spirit.
Which Scripture calls that demonic.
Yeah, I mean, just
don't water down Scripture, man. That's the point.
It's very important. So let's end on a high note.
That was pretty
funny
high.
note.
Funny note. Man.
Okay, so both of us have been youth pastors. Again, we've talked about this before. A combined almost 40 years.
Wow.
Pretty close. It'll be
Wow.
40 years in a year and a half for me. So,
Wow.
I mean, like,
That's
between
a lot
the
of
two of us,
years.
it'll be 40 years
Yeah.
and a year and a half. Okay, so tell one quick story. I didn't prepare you for this. So this is your quick story about a parent or student trying to encourage you as a youth pastor, because it has happened to me multiple times, so I imagine it's happened to you a bunch, to go to a scary corn maze or a haunted house or something like that.
Tell you a funny story about that?
Have you ever gone, and or have you had a funny story, or a story, it doesn't have to be super funny, but an interaction with a student who doesn't understand why you won't go?
I think usually the conversations go along the line of disbelief on, really? We're not going to go do that? And then you may not see the kid for a while, I don't know if I have a funny story to that, though. I think usually it just comes out to you're just not being a cool youth pastor.
So I had a student. They don't watch this, so I don't think it's a big deal. But I had a student who he encouraged me for 3 weeks, like 3 weeks leading up to the Halloween weekend, to go with him and some friends who didn't know Jesus to this haunted maze or whatever it was. And I said, look, dude, I would love to hang out with you and your buddies. And I love the fact that you're hanging out with some dudes who don't know Jesus. That's great. You can be a great influence on them. But I'm not going to a haunted maze. He's like, why? Dude, I don't like scary movies. I certainly don't want to go to a haunted maze. No, thank you. Dude, I'm a chubby guy. Like, that's heart attack material for me. No, thank you. Pick something else and I'll go hang out with you and your buddies. No, you got to go, Pastor Michael. No, you got to go. So I fought this off for 3 weeks. So the day after Halloween, he calls me up. He says, Pastor Michael, I went to the haunted maze. I said, it's great, man. How was it? Well, you were right. I got scared. I almost cried. You probably wouldn't have liked it.
That's funny. That's funny.
And this is one of those kids. It's like he's a tough kid. He's a athlete type, So for him to even admit that he almost cried because it was so scary,
big.
It was,
you get him to that
huge.
point, that's awesome.
But it was funny because he's like, I totally understand now. Like, yeah, I've been to him before, dude. Not gonna do it.
That's
Just
funny.
not gonna do it.
That's funny. I think probably one of the things that we did though one time was we went to it wasn't a haunted house, it was just a scare walk, and it was through a building, and the scare walk was not it was nothing to do with ghosts and goblins and all that. It was just going through the building, going from point A to point B, and just have people jump out at you. I mean, that's really what it was. But on the second floor, that's where it ended. And the way out was you're walking through total darkness, and you stepped off, and you went down and landed on this big old air pillow. I didn't like that. I did fine all the way through until I went, because you had to walk. You're kind of walking downhill because something was like chasing you. Somebody was chasing you, and then you go. And I mean, you only fell maybe it seemed like 30 feet, but it's probably only a foot. But I about wet myself.
Well, what you don't know about this guy, and someday maybe we'll get to this. This guy's a prankster. So while he may not have taken teens to haunted mazes and stuff, this guy was the master of scaring people. You have all kinds of stories about, smoke going through
Chainsaws
ventilation,
in the woods, okay.
ventilation, and stuff. So
that's another podcast.
All kinds of stories you could tell.
Crazy.
Well,
anyway.
we appreciate you guys for tuning in today, and no matter what, have a safe and fun Halloween this year if you choose to partake. And if you don't have anywhere to go and you live in Morrow or Umatilla County or, Tri-Cities area, you're more than welcome to come on down on the 31st, 3 to 5 here at Hermiston Nazarene Church. We'd love to have you. Lots of stuff. Trunk or treat is happening. We got cotton candy. We've got our glow-in-the-dark carnival games, which are run by our students, and it's got a special theme this year, so that's going to be really fun. So everything will be.
Was it Dr. Seuss?
Yeah. Oh man, you ruined the.
Oh, I didn't know it was a surprise.
That was a surprise.
Oh, sorry.
Well, it isn't now.
Okay.
Yeah,
no
we're
surprise.
gonna have. So we have Dr. Seuss. So you'll have the cat in the hat with thing 1 through 32 or something.
Yeah.
So
and if you're part of Herm Naz, we invite you, or even if you're part of one of the other local churches and you just want to come hang out and like be a mingler and just talk to people,
Jesus.
We encourage you to do that because we need all the light rubbing shoulders with people that come on here to our campus. So you come and let us know. You can register still online to help with that. It's called the Minglers. Yep. So if you can come and mingle, you just got to come mingle and just be Jesus.
Yeah, hermnaz.church. And again, if you want to, if you're not from our church but you want to do a trunk, if your church isn't doing something that day and you want to be a part of it, again, hermnaz.church, you can sign up, and we'd love to have you. We're not here to try and make you Nazarenes. We're just here to share the light of Jesus to the community.
And eat a whole lot of chocolate.
And eat a whole lot of, well, hopefully only chocolate. Them nerds and stuff.
Oh,
weirdos.
Well, a little cotton candy. All right. Hey, thanks for being here.
We'll see you next week.